Tactic, Fred.
We're back. Bitcoin Liberty Live. Riding the Bitcoin today. Yesterday, we rode Bitcoin like a bucking bronco yesterday.
One of these
Episode
days,
75.
I'm going to get Fritz to hire a graphic designer.
No, I think you keep it how it is, man. Raw and authentic.
Raw and authentic.
I could invest more time on my graphic artist or have a video or something.
I like the old school, text rolling in and all that shit. It's good stuff. How you doing? We got Michael Jordan in the house, man.
Hey, thank you guys for having me.
Yeah, the
Michael
other
Jordan. With the other Michael Jordan on X, the other M Jordan.
Right.
The Bitcoin Way. You've been with the Bitcoin Way for how many years now?
Yeah, it's been about 18 months, a little over 18 months, I think.
Wow.
Yeah, so yeah,
months.
not as long. Now, to be fair, I've only been in Bitcoin for a little over 3 years. So half of my time has been with the Bitcoin Way at this point.
That's awesome, dude. Yeah.
It's been a ride.
Well,
it is.
You texted me the other day, and you said you guys have signed up how many people to run nodes now?
Oh, I don't even have a number, but every day we're helping people spin up nodes. So
dude, that's so freaking awesome. I just want to say publicly in a public forum, that is doing God's work. That is absolutely worth the price of admission. If you don't know about the Bitcoin Way, you should go sign up with them. They will help you take self-custody. More importantly, they'll help you set up a node. And that is one of the most important things you can do as a Bitcoiner. And I just love. I will sing your praises till the end of time if you guys just keep pushing node running. I think it's so awesome. Thank you so much.
We are. For us, it's almost mandatory. I guess technically you could opt out of that component, but we strongly advise against opting out. And it really is cool because we see knots versus core or not, we see a lot of these nodes coming online, and we know that we're making a material impact on the number of nodes. And it's not like we've got 20% of the network set up or something, but I don't really know of anyone else who is every day multiple clients a day spinning nodes up. So
yeah,
it's a lot of fun, very important work to be done, I think.
Yeah, it's huge, man. It's absolutely huge. Welcome, Johnny. Good to see you this morning, sir. Thank you for joining.
Regular viewers, we're going to get people who pop in randomly. You never know every day. But every Bitcoiner goes on a journey. I mean, I know I went through it where, you're into money at all and you question what is money at some point perhaps, or you're doing trading, you're in TradFi. You learn about altcoins, or maybe as you're learning, you dabble in the shitcoinery. And then you figure it out and you're like, okay, Bitcoin is it. And as you do that, you're off zero. You own Bitcoin. You're on an exchange. You take self-custody. You run a node. You start playing with your node. And there's or you stamp and steal, by God. And you go through this progression. And as you do that, when I hear these stories, like things that have happened recently, that the Bitcoin Way has helped with people who got wrecked, made a mistake, find themselves lost, need that compass. And you hear that story where it's like, I lost 7 Bitcoin. How did I do that? Whatever. And I want to figure out what in the hell happened? How does that happen? And then when you find out how it happened, it's like, at some point on my own path, as I was learning, I could have been susceptible to that too. To stay humble about it. There was one point I remember I wrote down keys on a seed phrase, and my natural inclination, because just the efficiency of what's easy and quick, and it's like, oh, maybe I'll just take a picture of this, or I've got a secure cloud drive. I'll save it on the cloud drive. How many times has that happened? It seems like, how did your seed phrase get hacked? Where did you put that? And it was on the cloud or something, or in a way that felt secure, and it was not.
Yep.
So the Bitcoin Way really helps keep you based. Do it right. Don't go off the path and screw up.
Yeah, there's so many ways you can take either self-custody or something resembling self-custody, I guess, is maybe a point I would make, that you're invariably going to make a mistake if you're not going about it very methodically. And so the benefit that we have as a service provider in this area is we do the same thing every time with everyone. It's practically impossible to mess up because we've all been trained the same way to do the same thing with each and every client. And, it's for some people, it feels like this big technical hurdle they've got to get over. I can assure you, we've got 80-year-olds running nodes and, non-technical folks of all ages. It's not that hard. It's like when, PCs first went mainstream and you had to learn how to type. At first it's, slow and you're trying to kind of sort through what's the best position to put my fingers. It's really no different when it comes to self-custody. You just got to learn a few new skills, have some patience, be curious enough to take the time to do it, and you'll be good.
Yeah. And slow down. Like people, when you're watching the price and you're thinking of buying, and that feeling you get where you're all zoomed out, you feel like it's time. And then as you're about to buy, I can't help it. I'll zoom in and I'll be watching, like I want to get every little bit that I can or something, like I'm going to like outthink it. It's like slow down, focus on your base principles. What are you doing here? So like when it comes to your longer Bitcoin journey, if you're not ready for maybe a certain next step, like slow down, think about it, do it right. People get kind of like excited. I mean, you get so excited about Bitcoin. You're like, you get to a next level and you're like, oh, I get it now. And I want to get in, and you leap and you fuck up. So
yeah.
Anyway.
Well, that was like a story that our mutual friend told us, Fritz. And I've repeated this on X a couple times. It was like, we know someone who works in Bitcoin security that had a client show up and go, hey, man, well, I heard I needed a Bitcoin address to take self-custody. So I Googled Bitcoin address and then I sent Bitcoin to that. And you look at that, and to Fritz's point, it's like, that's rushing, right? That's like just thinking you can just Google your way through something without knowing anything about what you're doing. And then that guy smoked like 2 or 3 Bitcoin on that transaction, right? But when you hear it, like people go, oh, that's BS. No one would ever do that. We go, people do that kind of shit, right? So like, I love sending people towards the Bitcoin way. Just, like if I ever meet someone who's got like our attorney we just signed up, this guy said, yeah, I think back in 2012, we had I had a client and he gave me a silver coin and a Bitcoin, like a piece of paper with Bitcoin on it. And he said it was the same amount of Bitcoin as it was silver. And he said, just hang on to this and see which one performs better. And I was like, dude, if he gave you $25 of Bitcoin in 2012, that's like 3 Bitcoin, man. Like, you're rich. He finally went and unpacked it, and like turned out he only had like 0.1 Bitcoin or something. But still, I was just like, dude, you sat on your hands and you got 12 grand. Like, that's pretty fucking good deal.
Yeah.
But the first words out of my mouth were like, dude, if you actually have $25 of Bitcoin from 2012, you need to call these guys the Bitcoin way. Don't do anything. Sit on your hands. Don't fuck around. Don't start Googling shit. Just call the Bitcoin way and they'll walk you through what to do with that now. Like, don't screw this up, man. Cause that's,
Yeah.
I mean, it all turned out to be moot, but like the first thing I do, like I met a ton of people in Vegas. They're like, yeah, well, I got a lot of Bitcoin. It's like 10 Bitcoin or something like that. It's on Coinbase. I'm just like, dude, you're a fucking high net worth guy. You need to call these guys. You need to have them help you figure out what to do with that. Like, don't keep doing what you're doing because you're just aiming to get wrecked. Like, you're just trying real hard to like fuck yourself in the ass. Pardon my French. But yeah, man, I mean, I love what you guys do. And, we actually had a lot of opportunity to hang out. We hung out in Vegas. All 3 of us hung out in Vegas, and we closed out a restaurant there. But I also got to hang out with you a bunch in Prague this last year. I saw your speech. I thought that was great, man. Like, what were your kind of takeaways from that speech? Like after you got off the stage, because you handled it like a stud, dude. I mean, you were just like, boom, just focused and clear and like no nervousness or anything. So I was pretty impressed, man. You did a great job.
I appreciate that. Yeah, that was a lot. I think the only other time I'd spoken publicly about Bitcoin was in front of about 40 people. And I did that at a local event with Natalie Brunell and Sam Callahan late last year. So yeah, it was overwhelming to imagine speaking on the main stage at Prague, but I thought it went as well as it could have. Hopefully sent some signal. People were very kind and generous with their words after, and got to meet a lot of cool people because they saw me and they knew to come up and talk to me after that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think I feel like, Daniel, for you, it's like your mission is as many people as we can get running nodes. Like at the end of the day, like decentralization and security of the network, like that's the thing. One of the things I'm very passionate about, and it's not something in my personal life I even have every opportunity to execute on, but is to get people using Bitcoin beyond just store of value. And I think store of value I think saving in Bitcoin is a great use case. I'm not one of those people who said that's not using Bitcoin. I use Bitcoin as a store of value. But to the extent we can begin building circular economies, which was sort of the crux of my speech, I think it's an incredibly powerful way of removing Bitcoin from the hands of people like us who, not because I'm going to spend and replace, but removing it from such a central group of people into, your local farmer who maybe has no exposure today. And now they've done this transaction, and like no banks were involved. Like there was nothing on the back end here that involved someone else. Like it's just this mind-blowing thing. And once people begin to realize it, and then you pay them $10 for something, and then a year later they come back and they're like, wait, this is worth, $40. I think you only paid me $10 worth of Bitcoin. What happened? Yeah. They started asking questions. So that was sort of the nature of my speech. And I thought it for speaking in front of 1,500 people, 2,000 people, whatever it was for the first time, I thought it went as well as it could have.
Yeah. It was fire.
And for anyone, say it's someone's first Bitcoin transaction and they're just getting used to, oh, you could pay me in Bitcoin. Okay, sure. Why not? Like we have a buddy, Travis, who's, paid an electrician or a plumber and said, hey, are you willing to try it out? And he's like, sure. And just that gets them off zero, gets them on a path, gets them thinking about it. Maybe they don't do anything with it for a while, but after a while, they, it may click later for them, or they go, oh, well, that worked. I could do more of that. And it promotes everything about the economy. We've talked in the past about Bitcoin inherently being a property, like you own a property, and it's a property that can be used as money. And I think both are important. It changes fundamental rules to the entire property capture game, and we can just zap it around like across the world. So it's incredible.
It's pretty amazing. Yeah, I think that's, Daniel, your thesis, although I'm still admittedly trying to wrap my head around it, I think is something I'm becoming increasingly sympathetic to, in the importance of Bitcoin as a bearer asset. It breaks all of the rules of what we've known about property for the last forever, perhaps.
Yeah.
And I think it's an important thing, and it's something that you have to sit on. And for anyone who I'll show your product. For anyone who hasn't read The Great Realignment, check out Daniel's book, because it's very good. I would say it's dense. Like have some time to like sit back and ponder it, because I read it like, I don't know, maybe 8 months ago, or maybe a year ago even. And then we were talking in Vegas, and you were talking about it, and you're like, yeah, like, in my book. And I was like, I don't even remember this, because I like the amount I absorbed. I think I just need to go back and reread it periodically. But
thank you, man. Yeah. Oh, that's awesome, man. I appreciate that. Like, that's, when we talk about things like whether it's the core debate or anything, right? Like I hear people throw this idea around of like sound money and, this should be a monetary network and things like that. And I think it kind of misses a broader point. And the way I've sort of developed over the last year or so of just thinking about this problem, the problem of value, right, and exchange and things like that, like I kind of look at the idea, like the money origin story. Like I kind of think of it like I literally liken it to the sun revolves around the earth. Like I can go talk to Lynn Alden right now and say these words out loud. I go, money solved the problem of barter. And she'll go, yeah, 100%. I can go to Breedlove, say, hey, money solved the problem of barter. And go, yeah, 100%. I can say it to some guy on, on some weird island off the coast of New Zealand. Money solved the problem of barter. They go, yeah. Like it's such a standardized idea that everyone accepts as that is the facts. That is where money came from. It solved the problem of barter. And it's a myth. It's like that literally never happened. Adam Smith made that thing up off the top of his head. He looked around the world, he surveyed the world and said, I think barter used to be a problem. That's why they created money. Therefore, I will put this in my book and people will accept this as true for the rest of time. And I go, it didn't happen. Like that literally didn't happen. There was a great economic anthropologist, historian called David Graeber. He's passed away now. He was a big figure in the Occupy Wall Street movement, but he calls it the great founding myth of economics. He said, there's never been a society on earth that has ever developed that way, where they went from a barter economy to a cash economy, or to a shell economy, or to a bead economy. Said that just doesn't happen. There are a lot of places where they had a currency that collapsed and then they resorted to barter, but it's never gone the other way. And so when I challenge that thesis, I go, look, man, money is a tool of the state. It's always a tool of the state. It's always been a tool of the state. If you go back to ancient Egypt and they said, oh, yeah, they had gold coins and whatever, what was that for? You had to go pay that money to the religious leaders, right? You had to go give that to them. And then you had to take it so they could get stuff from you. But that's what it's all about. It's what money has always been about. Pay us a tax so we don't have to steal your stuff directly. And it's like the old mob boss in, like when the mafia guy comes by in Little Italy in New York and goes, hey, Saul, I see you're running a pretty successful sandwich shop here. How about you, pay us a little money and we'll make sure nothing bad happens to your shop. And the guy goes, GFY, this is America. I don't need you. We got the police. And you go, hey, the police aren't so good at stopping this kind of stuff, Saul. So you should really pay us the tax. And Saul tells him to GFY. Sure enough, next day, all his windows get busted out, and some guy comes and conks him on the head with a stick and says, hey, Saul, you should really watch out for all these bad guys in the neighborhood. So the mafia guy comes back the next day. Hey, Saul, looks like your shop got busted up. I told you we could have protected you from this. Never mind, it's the same guys that are doing the hustling. It's the same guys that are doing the smashing. It's the same guys that are doing all this stuff. But that's the origin of the tax, right? Like the mafia guy doesn't want to come and collect sandwiches from Saul every week, but they want the ability to get the sandwiches when they need them, right? And it's the same thing for every thug in the history of mankind, since the first guy looked at someone farming a vegetable patch and went, hey, I'm kind of hungry. I could use some vegetables. I'm big and strong. I could just go bash that guy in the head and take his vegetables. From that moment on, they went, hey, this is way easier than farming vegetables. And if I get enough of us together, we can all just bonk people on the head and take their vegetables. But after a while, taking vegetables is less efficient. So the easiest thing in the world to do is go, hey, you have to pay us these beads, rocks, shells, lead pellets, feathers, whatever you want to come up with. You got to give us X amount of these every year, and you have to take them so we can get stuff from you, right? So you go, money. That's the birth of money. And that's my thesis that I'll run with forever, which is why I think it's very important to distinguish Bitcoin from money, or the ideas of sound money, because you go, I want sound money. You go, oh, you want a sound tax? Yes, that's what I really want. I really want the sovereign to be able to take from me in a sound manner. You go, that doesn't sound like a good solution to me. But if you have something that the sovereign wants, which is property, resources, then you're talking about a different game, if that makes sense.
So would you equate it to, so I hear what you're saying. On one hand, what you're talking about here, I think, is highly practical. On the other hand, it's sort of semantics, because when most people say money, it's like it's the ability to buy, sell, transact value. I think like that, like when we talk about it in Bitcoin, we kind of get into the weeds of the definitions that you're talking about here. But I think if, I just said money to my friend, my normie friend, he's like, oh, that's the thing that's the thing I just use to buy my groceries or what have you.
Right.
So I assume, though, that you feel like the fact that you've got this unconfiscatable property that you can use to exchange value, to retain purchasing power, whether you call it money or not, or property, still exhibits what many people would consider our monetary properties.
Well, that's the thing, is like when people say, well, it's a semantic argument, I go, well, it's not, because the semantics of money are, what is money? Like right now, if you go look at an economics textbook, you go, what is money? If you just Google it right now, it says, well, it's a unit of account, it's a store of value, and it's a medium of exchange. Okay, so money is three things. Okay, well, then what are we talking about when we say this is money? Is it all of those things? Does it have to be all of those things to be money? Does it have to just be one of those things, or 2/3 of those things? And then you talk about like, well, Donald Trump is wealthy. Go, how much money does he have? His money, cash money, liquid assets does he have in his bank account? I don't know, probably $500,000. Oh, well, how's he rich? Well, he owns property. Oh, well, why does that make him rich? Well, because that's where all his money is. Oh, so money is property? No. It's not property, because you can't, it's not it's just a store of value. But that's how he protects himself from money. So his money is protecting himself from money. Right. Okay, so what are we talking about now? Like, do you see how quickly that can become very circular line of reasoning.
Would you be more comfortable with framing Bitcoin as a means of storing and sending value, storing, sending, and receiving value?
Well, I'm comfortable with the idea of Bitcoin as property, right? It's property that can't be seized. Like that, I will maintain that. That's a hill I'm willing to die on, because the thing that changes the dynamics of the competitive resource capture game are like, can you capture and control resources, right? If you right now, Michael Jordan from the Bitcoin Way, just went and decided, I'm going to rob every bank in my city, right? The state is going to come and try and stop you, right? Like 100%. They're going to send cops. They're going to go, nope, you're not allowed to steal all these resources. That's not your job here. But if you, Michael Jordan, walked into the bank and said, I have a nuke buried under City Hall. If you guys even think about messing with me, I'm going to blow this city off the map. Don't even look at me funny, or you guys are all done. And they go and they look under City Hall and they go, oh shit, there's actually a nuke under City Hall. Then you go, I'm going to go rob every single bank today. And if anybody gets in the way, guess what happens? So what happened? Or is that a valid capture of resources now? No one can stop you, right? Like there's a reason North Korea still exists, because they have a nuke. So they go, hey, well, every other country gets dinkered with internally. They get, CIA guys going in, destabilizing stuff. They get all this sort of like trade rules imposed against them, this, that, and sanctions and yada, yada, yada. North Korea is still just like clipping along. And you go, how come you don't go and just destabilize North Korea and make it so it's not that way anymore? Well, because they have a nuke and they can like nuke our partner, and that's no good. And they might use it. So we have to be careful with that one, because that guy is now a sovereign. He is now has legitimate sovereignty over resources that no one can take from him, because he's got a nuke. Just like the United States, just like Russia, just like China, just like France, just like Germany, just like all the nuclear armed nations of the world, they get to dictate what's what because they have a nuke and they can defend themselves. So they can defend their property. Bitcoin changes that, because you go, hey, how do you take this property? Well, you don't. You can't. You can go and beat the guy around the head. You can do this, that, and the other thing, but you can't take it from him. You can maybe coerce him into giving it up, just like they could try and coerce Kim Jong-un or or whichever version of that Kim thing we're on right now. They can try and coerce that guy, but they can't come in and just physically take his land. They can't just invade, because they'll get nuked. Yeah. And that's the same thing with Bitcoin. It's just you don't need the nuke to do it. You see what I'm saying? So that's why I think Bitcoin is like such a huge deal, because you as a human being can do something that no king has been able to do without an army for the last 12,000 years. You can do what the United States can do with property, with their aircraft carriers and tanks and jets and nukes and everything. You have the same power over a piece of property that's valuable. Like if it were invaluable, like if no one cared about it, it wouldn't matter. But post 2024, people care about it now. And you control it. You as a sovereign individual control property that no one on earth can take from you. Doesn't matter how many nukes they have. Doesn't matter how many guns they have. Doesn't matter how many tanks. And as more and more people want that property, your sovereignty rises dramatically. Your ability to transact with it becomes less and less relevant, because of the fact that you control a property. Just like if you controlled your entire town by having a nuke underneath it, and you go, well, do I need to transact in my resources that I've captured here? Not really. Kim Jong-un doesn't really need to transact in his resources. He does, because, that's how he gets his Jaguars and Mercedes and his golf courses and shit. But do you see where I'm going with this? Like that's why it's a game changer. It's not because you can buy cocaine in Bolivia. It's because you control property that someone can't take from you.
Yeah. The most peaceful revolution we'll ever see. And I think even as it is a steady revolution of its own, a lot of people, I think, are going to experience the outcomes of a great realignment and really not quite ever understand how that happened or what Bitcoin's role was in that. I think the great realignment is occurring and will change everything. And I can see a lot of people that may not ever own Bitcoin are going to just see things different in the world, or their incentives have changed a little bit. And they won't really understand how that happened or why. And yet it was a transformation.
Yeah, I hope so. I mean, what do you think, Michael, through all this? I was mattering. Like, I tend to rant, so I apologize. That's
I can do the same thing. I think that makes sense. I think Trying to think how to frame this. I still like when I look at the world, what we colloquially call money today, typical fiat currencies. And this is a problem with you, Daniel, because now every time I say money or currency or anything, I'm like, okay, let me define that for everyone real quick.
Words.
I know he drives me crazy. No, what we colloquially call money, I guess, at the moment, we see a lot of authoritarianism beginning to sort of govern. And if you look in Spain, I think they've got like limits on withdrawals. You got to give like 24 hours notice. I don't even know what the hell they're doing in the UK, Australia, terrible, Canada. I mean, it's all going to hell from what I can see. And so while I agree with you, property that nobody can extract, wealth that no one can extract from you, that thesis makes a lot of sense to me. I think that is one of the attributes of Bitcoin that make it so incredibly useful. I think another is the fact that if you want to exchange this property for something else anywhere globally, you can choose to do that, and you don't have to get the bank's permission. You can do that if you want to convert your wealth to gold today and you want to take it all into self-custody, right? Like, but practically speaking, in a global digital economy, not going to happen, right? So, it is a revolution in transactability as well as sovereignty over what you hold. Right. And so I think it's like a both and for me. I can agree with your thesis there and get on board, and also maybe weight the transactability of Bitcoin as equally important, because at the end of the day, like the reason you hold, I don't know if I should say property or money, the reason you might hold Bitcoin is not to be able to like show someone that like you have the keys to this Bitcoin. It's to be able to do something with that Bitcoin that allows you to live a better life, to own something else that you might want. Like it's the same reason no one wants dollars. They want what they think dollars can afford them, whether it's peace of mind, whether it's, a piece of property, a house, whatever, Lamborghini. So I just think there are a lot of benefits to Bitcoin. And one of them, I completely agree with you, is the unconfiscatable nature of it as property. Fritz, what do you do, man? You got to work with this guy all the time. Does he like, is this how he like converses with you? He calls you in the morning and
absolutely. So yeah, we'll meet randomly during the week for various, for business and pleasure. And just, so I don't know if you ever had this experience, but when I started learning about Bitcoin, and initially crypto shitcoinery stuff, but when I want to say it could have taken a year, more like 9 months. And I got on the Bitcoin path hardcore, and I was just like, am I crazy? Am I the only one? I'm looking around. I knew like one other guy in my adjacent fiat workspace who also got it. And he was on a similar path and knew more than I did. I was on another path, but we aligned and bounced off each other. But I just didn't see him all that often. It was just kind of random and sporadic. And we both had fiat jobs. And then very randomly, when I also met Daniel, this was that 2021, 2020. I don't know. It's been years.
Somewhere around there. Yeah. 3 or 4 years ago.
It's like that meme of like the candle in the dark of like, there's another Bitcoiner like in this entire county or who knows where. I know of no one who like gets it. And you feel a little isolated and crazy. And yet it's like, it's so important. Like nobody sees this. It's like the glasses on They Live, you got your glasses on and you're like, holy shit, you see it everywhere, the fiat world. And you're like, does no one see this? No one gets it. And then you see someone else with the glasses. So anyway, Daniel and I connected and then just bit hard. And it's like, here's another guy that I can relate to. And not just like, oh, you agree with me. I don't know if I challenge Daniel, but Daniel would challenge me. Yeah. And he'd have ideas. And and as he started writing his book, and I'd have my assumptions, or I'd be on Bitcoin Twitter, or I'd be like studying on my own, and I'd come to him with my views on things. And instead of just being like, yeah, number go up, he would challenge me on some of these broader thoughts that I love talking about. I love the big picture stuff, but philosophers have got to churn together. And so Daniel and I were able to do that. That's what started this podcast, is that we got to get together. Let's just talk about this.
Yeah.
And after we'd done that for a while, it was like, man, that was an amazing conversation. Like that dinner we had in Vegas after a busy day, and we're all kind of smoked. And it's like, what just happened? And yet we talked for, I don't know, 3-4 hours. And it was just like, this is what I love. I love this shit. And so anyway, that's how Daniel and I became good friends and decided to move in forward on just what can we do in Bitcoin and whatever that is together. Because it was, for me, it was that torch in the darkness, and not just, oh, that easy, comfortable campfire to roast marshmallows. I love my metaphors, but literally, like, I'm being challenged, or he would push on me with something, and I might be kind of affronted, like, I'm not wrong. And what it trained me more fundamentally was challenging presumptions, questioning what I'd learned recently or taken for granted for a long time, and forcing me to grow and listen and process, and basically pushing me. So yeah, anyway, maybe I do that for Daniel too. I don't know.
Yeah, 100%. Well, I love having the foils, and Michael's been an amazing foil. I keep wanting to get on Breedlove's show so I can have a foil with him, because he's kind of a philosopher, economist as well, But thank you, Fritz. That was awesome to hear, man. I mean, I truly value our friendship, and it was very much like he said, it's just a torch in the darkness, because where we were both working in law enforcement field, and it was just like, ugh, And I want to give a shout out to Johnny here. Thank you. I really appreciate that, man. It's always great having you here, and I'm glad that you appreciate the conversation, because but yeah, Michael is a very, very smart guy, and he is an excellent foil for some of this philosophical debate. So I appreciate both of you guys, man. I mean, thank you so much. I'm super glad you could be here today, Michael, because I knew we'd have a nice conversation about this stuff. And to some of your points that you were making before, like the money thing, I think but that falls right into the Sailor camp, right? And like a lot of people shit on Sailor's head now because he's like a MicroStrategy guy and he's just, shilling derivatives and whatnot. But a lot of his original ideas, like he would say things like, it's more important that we view this as property rather than money. Money has a lot of problems around it. Property doesn't. And I think people hear that in the way that, they have that colloquial idea of money, and they go, oh, well, that's why this is wrong, but if you look at it from a little further back in history kind of point of view, you go, well, it kind of makes more sense, right? Like if you have property that you can't take, and especially property that you can just move around, like if you take over your city with a nuke under City Hall, you have to stay in that city, because the second you leave that city, they're just going to smoke you, dude. Like you go, I don't care if you're not coming to our town to do that, buddy. The second you leave your safety zone inside your nuke area, you're toast, right? So if you could just take that city around with you, you go, well, here's all the resources that I control. I control all the people in this town. I control all the industry. And if you're a benevolent, kind leader that goes, you know what, I'm going to clean up the town a little bit. I'm going to make sure all the graffiti gets painted over. I'm going to make sure that the cops are fat and happy. I'm going to make sure you're all fat and happy. There's a turkey in every pot, a car in every driveway, but I'm just in control right now. I just hope you guys realize that, because I have this nuke. And if you decide to mess with me, I'm going to nuke you. But other than that, I'm going to be a really nice guy. People go, you know what? It's actually not that bad in Michael Land. Like Michaeltown is actually pretty cool. And we kind of like having Michaeltown because he takes good care of us here in Michaeltown, which means you're managing your resources that you captured through force, right? That's all that boils down to. Mm-hmm. That's every conqueror in the history of the world. They come in and they go, hey, Saul, things can be pretty good for you if you just pay us the tax. And when Saul relents, he goes, you know what? It actually wasn't that bad. Like the cops come around, like the cops don't bug me for bribes anymore. I don't have these little twerps coming in here and stealing my shit. Like my shop's actually running better now that I'm paying tax to the mobsters. So I kind of like the mobsters. And then the mobsters go and they throw a block party and they make sure that like little Aunt Susie down the street that doesn't have her meds getting delivered, they make sure someone takes care of her. And they go, yeah, these mobsters are pretty good. They're thugs. They're people that are going out doing horrible, violent shit, but that's how they're capturing and controlling that resource. Bitcoin gives you that control of a resource, just like if you had control over 1,000 people in your town, or 5,000 cows, or 10,000 chickens, or whatever it is. You control those resources. You get to extract the value from those resources. If that means trading off some of your chickens, so be it. But the point is that you have access and control. You have dominion and control over a resource that other people want and can't get without trade. If that makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I like that final framing, without trade, because I think that's what it comes down to. It's going to be a wild time. I think about the moment that exchanges no longer exist because no one's buying Bitcoin anymore. And that's probably a long ways from now, but that your options are, coercive theft, torture it out of you, or, provide value to society, give, transact with something useful that people who have Bitcoin actually want. Right. And I'm, sort of back to what I started saying earlier is, I want to bring that day forward is the best I can. And so I told my friend recently, we've got a farmer's market not far from my house, and we'll go up there on Saturday mornings. And I was like, my goal next summer, because they closed it for the year. I was like, next summer, I'm going to get every single business accepting Bitcoin as payment. Like that's so they all get a taste of what that looks like. But I'll tell you, like the challenge is we're just so early. I spoke about a week ago. I spoke at a small event here in town, and to a bunch of people who didn't know anything about Bitcoin. There were like one or two people who happened to know something about Bitcoin, maybe out of 50 people. And I told them at the end, I sort of went through like, hey, like this is what Bitcoin is. This is why it's important. Probably a different presentation than you might have given, Daniel, but I think, I think it laid it out reasonably well. And then at the end, I said, hey, if you download this wallet on your phone, I will send you some Bitcoin. Like everyone in the room, I'll send you some sats. Right. And I had one person email me after the event who was already a Bitcoiner, like the only actual Bitcoiner from the audience. She's like, and I was like, the only person who took me. So I was going to send everyone like $1 or $2, and I sent her $20 worth of Bitcoin, like, a few thousand sats. Because I was like, no one else took me up on it. So like, you can have all of what I was going to give to the rest of the room. And it's like, no matter what you say, there are people who aren't going to figure this out.
Yeah. So 3 years ago, I mean, the price, I'd written it up, I'd written it down, written it back up. I'm going to write it back down, whatever it does. But like 3 years ago, I mean, the price might've been in the 20s, and we had a family get together with extended family on a vacation and stuff. And for Christmas, I mean, literally, I gave them some little trinket token, nice looking Bitcoin coins that had sats on them, and not a huge amount, but I mean, at the time, anywhere from for, $10-20 for the kids, $50 for whatever, just as gifts for Christmas. And so like as a Christmas gift, and I'm telling them about Bitcoin, I probably seem like a crazy psychopath as I am. Like, yeah, I'm into Bitcoin. It's Bitcoin. I gave you Bitcoin. And people are kind of like, oh, that's nice and stuff and all that. Anyway, years go by, and, to refer to it, I think whether they kept the coins or lost the coins or have any idea what it meant, it came up with my sister somewhat recently. Like, you remember that I gave you? So, oh, yeah. Okay. You remember what the price was in fiat back then? No. Okay. Well, check on it. But the idea is that, people that you really care about, and I don't know how it is, like, say, with your relationships, like your wife or your kids, sometimes they're willing to get it. Other times they don't really care. They're kind of neutral, or like, I trust you, honey. But sometimes at best, that's all you can hope for. And I just like, you know what? What are my fundamental values? Why am I doing this? And do I need everyone to understand or agree? No. And they may not quite, but it's a funny feeling to have.
I love what you did there. I mean, like, it's really neat that you were making that offer, but I also think it's a valuable experience to realize, like we're talking about some deep philosophical stuff. What is the origin of money, right? Like, and there are probably 10 people who will find that conversation interesting for an extended period of time, right?
Weirdly.
Weirdly.
I would think more people, I mean, so many people are into their, like, I know a lot of people that are into their stocks or their retirement, or talk about the TradFi garbage endlessly. And it's like, what is money? Isn't this important? What is money?
Right. And no one talks about it. No one thinks about it because they take it for granted, right? It is like air and water. They just go, oh, it's just there. That's just the thing we do, right?
Inflation just, it's
Yeah,
it's
just
2%.
happened. So like when you're talking to people, like when you're talking to normies, you're trying to overcome, like they don't even realize there is a rabbit hole to go down, right? They are still like in the world of the sun just goes around the earth and everybody knows it. So when you start going like, actually the world's a little bit different, then you're sort of peeling back the layer, but then you peel back another layer, another layer, another layer. So like when I'm talking about this deep philosophical stuff, I'm talking to Bitcoiners that have already gone down the rabbit hole and they already go, yeah, money's broken. I don't like that. And I go, well, there's another layer below that you might want to consider before you start thinking all this other stuff, because you'll end up reproducing the same problem that you already have in just a different form. And so my hope is that somewhere down that rabbit hole, they start realizing like what the game is, what the game they're playing, and why it works the way it does. So they can avoid some of the pitfalls of like rallying behind a banner or thinking some politician's going to fix things or thinking someone's going to save them or thinking, some ETF is going to change the world or the number go up is going to change the world and it's going to fix everything, blah, 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 blah. But at the end of the day, if you're talking to a normie, I can't go in and start talking about the fundamental relationship of property to sovereignty, because people would just be like, it's like I may as well just not say anything at that point.
For the record, that's not where I started with my presentation.
Of course not.
I want to hear your story a bit, not to have you rehash stuff you've told elsewhere, but you've been into Bitcoin 3 years.
Well, hold on. Let me finish this thing.
Yeah, go ahead, Daniel. Sorry.
The idea, like when I talk to people right now, I go like my landlord at our new office, he goes, hey, you told me a little bit about Bitcoin, because I told him, hey, I'm all in on Bitcoin. That's all I do. And he goes, I was looking at this and I was talking to my advisor. And I go, yeah, you should buy ETF, like 100%, get exposure, start understanding what it is. There's a reason why BlackRock and all these guys are buying this stuff. And it's not because it's a scam. He goes, oh, okay, thanks. So I'm not talking to him about sovereign property. I'm saying like, get off zero, dude. Like, and my thesis behind that is just like what you were doing. Like, here's a little bit, just try it to see what it is. Same thing Fritz did. Here's a little bit, try it. This is what it is. I just try and frame it in a way that makes sense to them. Like I just adjust it to the audience. I go, I'm talking to someone who's a normie. He buys real estate. He has stocks. He's got a 401k. Get a little exposure, dude. Start understanding it's worth learning about, because if that number really does go up a bunch and they go, hey, well, 1% of my portfolio was Bitcoin and now it's 50. Yeah, maybe I should learn some more about this thing. And then when they start, then they get to go down the rabbit hole, and then they go, oh, money is broken. Oh, sound money. Oh, I get to read The Broken Money by Lynn Alden. I can read Safadine. I can read all this. And then I go, okay, now you're there. Great. Now let's go just one step further and let's get you down to why this is so important. It's not just about fix the money, fix the world. It's about fix incentives, fix the world. Right. So anyway, that was all I wanted to get to, but I think your approach is great, dude. I love it. Both you guys, I think it's amazing. Just get people off zero, get them into the boat, because it's, we're Noah trying to get people to understand the rain's coming, even though the skies are blue, right? Like that's 100% where we're at right now. So,
yep. Yeah. So, I mean, as you've orange pilled people and on your own and through the Bitcoin way, Michael, you've written on Substack, you've got Black Hat Bitcoin, and Daniel's book I find very digestible, very readable. What is getting your mind around is the big concepts or the different concepts there. Michael, have you ever thought about a book or developed your writings into something in that regard, or what's your experience with all that?
I haven't given it much thought. I mean, I think my ability, I would say Daniel is much more of a philosopher than I am. Like, I think he's probably spent a lot more time thinking very deeply and profoundly about some of these concepts. I think it'd be a very different kind of book. I think what is, I haven't read all of them, right? Like there are a million Bitcoin books out there. And my sense is I probably just have skipped over one or two that are really good at this. I think that we probably overestimate the sort of the reading, without insulting a large number of people, like the reading level of a lot of people. Like I'll give you, like, I think The Big Print is a fantastic book. I think he makes a very compelling case. I think for many people who are willing to sit down and think about it, I think they'd say, wow, I did not realize how broken and corrupt everything was. I also think that there are concepts in that book that I probably am taking for granted that I've followed along with because I've listened to Larry Lepard on 30 different podcasts. You know, like I read the book listening to him before he wrote the book. And so there are a lot of people who I think like I can't even believe how much dumber I was 3 years ago than I am today. And so I imagine a lot of people who I can like, I'm not saying they're dumb, but like I sympathize that they just aren't there yet. Right. And so I think there is space for a book that like really fundamentally breaks down some of the problems Bitcoin solves, that even things like that I find accessible now further into my journey, like the big print, like the Bitcoin standard, probably are honestly probably a bit heady for someone who has no financial background, no capacity or appetite for learning about monetary history. You know, I mean, Broken Money, great book, 500 pages long, right? Like not that many people are going to sit down and read that. So I could see room for that, but I don't know that I don't know that I have the abilities as a writer to communicate what I would probably want to communicate in my head. So that's a good question.
What got you onto a stage in Prague as you transitioned into Bitcoin? What was that journey?
You want to know the truth, or do you want to know my embellished story?
Well, you
can frame it.
Always truth, dude.
Frame it however you like, but yes.
So the truth is I was not invited to speak at BTC Prague. The truth is that Rick, who you guys know, he's gone on to found other Bitcoin projects. He's awesome guy. We still love him. He was our chief marketing officer at the Bitcoin Way. Was very public about an incident he had prior to working at the Bitcoin Way where he lost a lot of Bitcoin, making some mistakes. And he was supposed to speak and ended up deciding to go full-time on this other venture around that time. And so we had this slot to fill. And the team came to me and they said, "Hey, would you like to speak on the main stage at BTC Prague?" And I said yes, of course, right away, because I knew it would be one of those things I would be kicking myself for the rest of my life if I didn't take the opportunity to do.
I'm not ready.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, neither is anyone, right? So, so it was. It really was just sort of serendipitous and total coincidence.
So you wrote your speech like that night.
Yeah, well, yeah. So that was about a month and a half out.
Oh, okay.
And so I had a little bit of time, but it took me a week and a half or two to figure out what I was even going to talk about. So it was quite a process, but it was not because they'd heard, they'd listened to my podcast and they thought I was so amazing and the world just had to hear Michael Jordan. But it was a good opportunity.
Yeah. Well, I think you'd make a great book author, dude. I mean, my sort of takeaway from writing in general is like, just like our podcast here, like there are people that resonate with my personality, right? They hear me and they go, "Wow, I never thought about that." And this, and there are other people who go, "This guy just sounds like a dick." I don't know. I mean, like they just don't give a shit. I'm too wordy. I'm too, like you said, they go, "Hey, this is all semantics." I go, "Well, it is, but it isn't. You got to think about it more." And they're just like, fuck this guy, right? Fritz has a very different personality. People resonate with Fritz for very different reasons. And it works. Like people like hearing Fritz talk. They like hearing his take on things. And it's I think much more approachable to me on a lot of levels. So there's very different ways to look at things, right? But everybody that comes in and has a genuine connection with Bitcoin, I think brings a very personal take to that space, right? And your take is going to be different than Fritz's, and it's going to be very different than mine. It's going to be very different than Lynn Alden's. It's going to be very different than Larry Lepard. But somebody somewhere might look at that and go, "Oh, wow, I never thought of it that way. Now I get it," right? And I think it's almost worth it there. Like if you convert one Bitcoiner after spending, 300 hours writing a book, it's kind of like, way to go, but it's also one more Bitcoiner in the space. The thing is, you have some reach, you have some, platform, and you never know. You might just write that book that everyone goes, "God, dude, this like unlocked, 10,000 new Bitcoiners that just went, oh, I never got it until I read Michael Jordan's stuff." You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. So, you're right about that, because I don't feel like I have anything unique to say, but I do have a perspective that's unique because I'm an individual of one, right? So I think it'd be fun to do. I mean, I've got 3 little kids and I'm working out, every hour of the day that I'm not hanging out with them. So at the moment, I'm not quite sure when I'd squeeze it in, but it is something that would be fun to explore.
I think it'd be dope, dude. I think it'd be great. I also want to say hi to Travis, and I don't know if he's still in the room or not, but hi, Travis.
Yeah. Welcome, Travis. So when I was telling my slight Bitcoin journey earlier in this pod. Travis is who I met early on, who was that first glimmer of a candle in the dark, who like understood Bitcoin and helped keep me aligned and on path and actually full on Bitcoin maxi after we talked for a while. So anyway, thank you, Travis, for continually reinforcing my Bitcoin suppository. And I appreciate it.
Hey, Fritz, could I? Hey, just to back up to that. So you were talking about like that, that flame in the darkness. Like, I just have to say, so I have a very socially inactive life, and I'm fine with that. But I told my wife a few years ago that when I was kind of, I don't know, 6 months, a year into the Bitcoin journey, hadn't started the Bitcoin way, I told her, I was like, you don't know how lonely it is to to have like figured something out that most of the world is asleep on, and all you want to do is like explore these ideas, talk about it with someone, and there's no one. Like it really like, even for me, like a guy who I can go, I'm a social camel. I can go months, years without a lot, but I was like, this is like, it's different when you found this thing,
Yeah.
And so like two comments. It is a beautiful thing when you find those people, and like truly, I every week at some point I think about our dinner that we had in Las Vegas, and like what an incredible blessing it is that I'm finally at a place where I can just sit down for 4 hours and talk with two guys who I just met in person for the first time. And we get to have these conversations and, argue and laugh and, have a good time. And it's just a lot of fun. So thank you guys for being a part of this for me.
Oh, 100%, man.
Yeah, absolutely. Because I mean, you got to get out there and touch grass. Your values have got to be aligned with your, the core human stuff, your family, your faith, your family's economy. And when you find Bitcoin, and so much of your just outlet is virtual or online, or there's a lot of people out there, but it's just not in meat space. And there's something that you feel lacking as a human sometimes. Like you, I have a huge tolerance for like, no, I'm good. I can do my thing. I can be different. I'm not like needing to fit in. But then when you have those occasional the meetups, or you get to a conference, and like that dinner, it's like this outlet here in reality zone that is just so impactful. And I come out of that processing for days sometimes, or you get back. It's like that time warp. You go to a conference and you're in another world, and you're just going, and then you come back and you're back home and you're with your kids, and your brain is like, what just happened? Like, wow. But it's very cathartic, very validating. And then it's good to balance your family with the energy that Bitcoin provides. I'm not the same Bitcoiner that I was a year ago or 2 years ago. And even when or let alone the same person. So I was already married and already had a family and all this before Bitcoin existed. And then as Bitcoin entered my life, and it's something that you like reconcile in your life, that as you enter that fire and you get forged in the fire of Bitcoin, you're integrating that into your values, and you don't want to leave your like wife behind, or like, well, maybe sort of like when Daniel, like, honey, I won the lottery, pack up. Oh, where are we going?
Well,
I'm saying, I don't know where you're going.
I'm getting the fuck out of here.
You're out. No, but my wife, bless her heart, she has, she's not going to be like a Bitcoiner like me, but I like with Daniel, when you talk about Bitcoin, you're into Bitcoin, you talk to family or friends about it. You're not like, you got to understand this. It's an integration for them in your life as well. So it's stay humble, stack sats. But man, what Bitcoin did for me was galvanize my good values as I kept everything good about life. And it's a journey, man.
Yeah, for sure. Well, like as Travis said, being into Bitcoin is a filter, man. Like it's he needs to listen to more Bitcoin podcasts.
She's like, oh brother. What we listen to is like
what the wife
ding dong children's songs on road trips with my daughter in the back.
Yeah.
Who's in charge.
But I mean, I think the point you brought up, Michael, I almost called it Travis. It was a good one. Like it's the ability to like kind of stand alone is sort of a unique attribute in human development, right? Because the vast majority of your time, like if you were in a tribe back in, 4000 BC or whatever, like you standing out from the crowd is like you standing in front of the tiger going, I don't think this thing's that bad. You know what I'm saying? Like it's a great way to get or get wrecked or something, or doing crazy shit like that. But that's also where human development comes from as well, right? Like the guy goes, I know we've been pounding on things with rocks for this, but I think we could pound on with a stick, and like suddenly things are better, right? So there is that attribute, and that's part of the individualism of the human species, which is sort of unique because we're a communal species, we're a social species, and we're an individual species. So we're very unique in the animal kingdom for a lot of those reasons. There are solitary animals, there are group animals, but there are very few that do both, and that's kind of one of the things that makes us special. And that's, and people ask me, like, why do you go to conferences? Like, don't those speeches get old? You go, yeah, like after you've been to one conference, you're going to hear Bitcoin good, fiat bad, and that's it. That's all you're going to hear for the next 3 days. Bitcoin.
Don't forget stable coins and treasury codes.
Oh yeah, and then buy my stocks, right? Buy my stocks, at least lately. But the point of it is not to be there for the speeches. Like the first time, it's kind of cool, and you get to watch Michael Saylor do Saylor things, or watch Mahlers walk around saying Mahlers things. But after the second time you've heard it, it's like, yeah, I heard this on YouTube, I heard this here. But what you get is that energy from the people that you're interacting with. You're part of a community. You actually get that communal and social layer that most Bitcoiners are missing. So you get your individualism from studying, doing your 100 hours, your 1,000 hours, your 10,000 hours, whatever it is. But then suddenly you get to immerse yourself in the social layer, the community layer, and you go, oh, wow, there are other people like me. And that is a fundamental human trait. We all need that for our survival. We need sociability. We need community to survive as human beings. Without it, we stagnate and we die.
Yep.
So there are those rando weird guys that move off to Alaska and live there for 40 years and never talk to anybody but wolves. But when you talk to them in person, they're kind of batshit crazy, right? So there's a reason why we are a social animal, and those conferences are just an amazing place to connect with Bitcoiners. I met Rick randomly at Prague. I didn't know I knew his story. I remember people kind of shitting on his head at the time because they're saying, oh, this guy's just looking for donations or whatever. But I heard him speak, and it was just randomly. I was just walking around like that backstage at Prague, and no reason for me to be back there other than I was just kind of bored and walking around. And I just saw him walk up, and I was like, oh, I'll sit down and listen to this guy. Amazing story. And he's an amazing, incredible human being. Yeah. And then right afterwards, I got to go up in the little VIP lounge and just go, hey, man, I love that talk. And, we got to talking and stuff like that. And he's this really, really conscientious, thoughtful, just incredible person. And you go, oh, neat. Where would I have ever gotten an opportunity to sit down and have that conversation? Or where would I ever get to ask Adam back a question in person? Or where would I ever get to stand next to a mechanic and look at him while he's like getting fucking chicken wings out of the bucket, right? Like none of these things can happen on Twitter, but they all happen in person at these conferences. And it's just so worth it to interact with people. It's such a great, great, great experience for community and social,
Yeah, I think I would just encourage people, if you can make it to those sorts of things, do it, because it is awesome. The cool thing for me is like I could list for you like 3 or 4 of my, or 10 of my favorite Bitcoiners, like people who I listen to, like who would I want to sit down and have lunch or dinner with. And the amazing thing is almost nobody, I mean, people on this live stream would have heard of some of them because it's like 2 of you, but like we've got a client who I've had on our podcast a couple of times. Like he's not a guy you'd recognize at a conference. Like he'd be on that list. And I guess my point in saying all of this is like, there's all the hype around, to your point, like Saylor, Mahlers, but like you've heard them talk, what they think about everything. There are a lot of really smart people, like just people that, the 3 of us can go to a conference and I don't think most people are going to recognize you, like, oh, like that's,
any of us.
Yeah. So, but like, those are the people that you might stumble across and like, you have a lifelong friend. And like same thing. I met Rick because he happened to Tony got in touch with him after his hack, and he ended up joining the team. And then Rick told me, he's like, hey, you got to talk to this guy, Daniel, one of the most interesting Bitcoiners I've ever talked to. You got to have him on the podcast. So I had you on the podcast. And now like on a Friday night, you and I are just on Signal messaging each other. Yeah. And when this other guy who happens to be an expat living in Japan, who I talked about, who's a client of ours, he's messaging me about like a residency program, like just some guy halfway across the world who I love, like talking to you about, hey, do you want to come on, Bitcoin Liberty Live tomorrow?
Yeah.
It's just amazing the connections you make. So
100%.
Yeah, get to these events.
Yeah. I want to be super respectful of your time. I know you kind of have a heart out today. But I want to say, like, thank you so much for joining us, and just thank you for the great conversation through the years, and just I love the engagement. I love what you guys are doing at the Bitcoin Way. I can't sing the Bitcoin Way's praises enough. They're so ethically and morally aligned with everything that I want to see happen in the world. So thank you guys for the work you do. And it's just a blessing to have you on here, and a blessing to have your friendship. So thank you so much for coming on today, man. It's great to have you.
Thank you so much. I appreciate you guys both inviting me for the chat. I always love these conversations. We'll do it again sometime, I hope. And if not, I'll be seeing you hopefully next year in Vegas, and we'll do another 4-hour marathon dinner.
Sounds awesome, man.
There's Bitcoin Veterans in Nashville, November 10th. There's El Salvador in January. There's Vegas in the spring, and Prague again. Yeah, but anyway, we'll do either virtual or we'll see you again live.
Yeah, awesome. For sure, man.
Thank you, guys. Good talking. We'll talk soon.
Have a great day, man.
We'll sign out. Good show, guys. Thanks. Bye.
Oh, we all going?
Yeah. Oh,
I thought we were just gonna let Michael go.
We can let Michael go, and we'll banter, Daniel. That's great. We got some more to talk about.
We can wrap up. We can say bad things about Michael when he leaves.
Yes. Yeah. All right. I'm glad he could join us because
it was great, man.
My goal is to get more and more guests on here, whether it's on the Saturdays or midweek. Sometimes fit them in and do more just guests, because now, not that we don't have plenty of brilliant things to share and say, but we need other insights sometimes, and people got their stories, and it just adds. So we'll do that.
Well, Michael is a really, really great guy. For anybody watching, if you're not following the Bitcoin Way, you should absolutely follow them. If you haven't taken self-custody of your Bitcoin yet, you should call the Bitcoin Way. They can show you how to do it and do it the right way. They're experts in the field. They can teach you everything you need to know about being a true sovereign individual holding Bitcoin. So I can't recommend the Bitcoin Way enough. And I've met them all in person. They're all equally as amazing in person as they are online. They're very genuine, conscientious, thoughtful people, and absolutely worth at least talking to. It's a free call to give them a call. I know I'm kind of shilling them. I don't get anything for shilling them. It's just because I believe in them, and I believe in what they're doing, and I believe in them as people. So that's my little hard sell for them. But
totally based. Tony's story, the founder, is amazing. Fleeing Lebanon, and I mean, you talk about fiat disasters. I mean, in America, we can imagine what a fiat disaster or a 6102 attack looks like, or the mechanizations of governance and trying to do whatever in the Bitcoin crypto space. Look at Venezuela. Look at whatever. Most countries other than the U.S. The U.S. is like the least of the worst, but there are countries and people out there that desperately need Bitcoin, or doing that through stable coins if they can, or whatever they're trying to do. But what they're trying to do is not get debased and survive. So anyway,
100%.
Tony,
but if you have a chance, you should also check out Tony's speech at BTC Prague. Very, very inspiring, and he's on fire, and not because he's like some sort of Bitcoin maxi that read the Bitcoin Standard. He's a maxi because he's got lived experience. He's been through an economic collapse. He's seen what it's like to have grandma eating cat food. He's seen what it's like to escape the madness, when they just seize all the bank accounts, and that shit can happen, And when they roll out their CBDCs, chances are good it's going to happen here too. They're going to go, hey, well, you can't use dollars anymore. And by the way, whatever you had in the bank, you're getting a 10-to-1 haircut. Here's your CBDC. Here's your breadline ticket. Sorry. And people will bitch and moan, and then they'll move on, and then they'll be on a CBDC. So my thesis says it's going to follow some sort of planned or semi-planned catastrophe of some kind, or some collapse, or some economic shock, or whatever it is they use to roll that thing out. But they have to reset this game somehow. My hope is that Bitcoin outpaces their shenanigans, and it looks like it's got pretty good shot at that. But that also is very, very dependent on people participating in the network. So as I always say, please run a node. If you're not participating in the network, you're speculating on the network, and that doesn't help anybody. But being a revolutionary in the revolution is a huge, huge, huge deal. Your kids will thank you. Your grandkids will thank you. The world will thank you. just for spinning up a node. $600 at start 9, and you can be part of a thing that can make the world a better place legitimately. Like, it'll be your only opportunity in your lifetime to actually do something that matters. And it's such an easy thing to do. It's almost hard to convince people like how meaningful it can be. So please
Yeah.
run a node.
Yep, absolutely. And you can see what could be coming or tries to edge its way in other countries when, like in the UK, and you've got Starmer and et al. Talking about, oh, okay, digital ID for reasons, one reason. And then, oh, well, you'll have better access to your money if you have this digital ID too. Well, so we'll be able to access our money better if we have digital ID. Like we kind of see how this is working. And there's a Matt Odell on, he's got the Citadel and a TFTC podcast he does and all the various things. He loves the book The Mandibles, which I've read. The Mandibles, it's written by Lionel Shriver, but it basically, it's a fictional story that goes into a steady process over a generation of what happens to a particular family in a world where the money is just debased. And it's a world in which Bitcoin does not exist. And in the end, it's sort of like gold is kind of what helps. But it's that dystopian view that's not just a suddenly thing. It's a gradually and then more gradually and gradually. And it's like, my God, like grandpa and even dad who were fairly well off and then like doing okay, and professionals and prominent people in their community are now trying to afford groceries month by month. And you see how it trickles diluted downward, and that generation by generation, the kids are just like, geez, at least jail is a safe, warm place. Geez, what are the options here? So
yeah,
Travis is here.
Hey, Travis.
Hey, nerds.
Right as we're about to close the podcast, dude.
That's fine. That's good timing.
Just kind of tail end of it here, and I saw that he was on, and he might be available. So
yeah, that's awesome, man.
You're back home.
Yeah, lots of travel this last couple weeks, but
nice. Yeah, undisclosed locations.
Yeah, I can't talk about it.
Yeah, Black Ops.
Yeah, something like that.
Travis is our resident Fed.
Yeah, we bring a Fed on periodically just
to keep it real.
Compliance issues. So
yeah,
we won't get banned.
Where's your black hat? You got the black shirt. Where's the black hat, dude?
Look at my shirt that I'm using.
What's it say? Not a Fed.
It says Silk Road, Anonymous Market.
Good man.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, free Ross. Oh wait, he's free.
He's free.
Thank the Orange Man. Well, I think this is a pretty good show overall. You got anything going on today, Fritz or Travis?
I'm just working around the hotel. It's not fun.
Never is, dude. Yeah, Bitcoin doesn't fix that, dude. Bitcoin doesn't fix plumbing.
Sometimes proof of work's got to be plumbing.
Yeah.
If the plumbers take Bitcoin, then it could potentially.
That's true. That's fair.
Yeah.
But not all do. We'll get there one of these days.
Yeah, for sure.
It's people like Travis, Daniel, Michael that yesterday when I was just casually, like I shouldn't, glance at the price, and it's like, what is going on? And it's like, why? What are the, and I haven't yet zoomed out. And you all keep me grounded and based.
What happened to the price? Did something happen?
Did something happen in Bitcoin recently? Let's see.
Is it still making blocks? If it's still making blocks, I don't give a F.
TikTok next block. Bitcoin does remain pretty darn anti-fragile, and all things aside, you hear about all kinds of things going on in the Bitcoin world, but I still know it to be anti-fragile.
I still know it to be run a node.
Run a node. I mean, that's the thing. It could be less fragile.
Yeah, we could be non-fragile. I want no fragility. 1 million nodes is no fragility. 23,000, 24,000 nodes is
run a node.
I'll just leave it on that. Anyway, what do you think? You want to call it here?
Travis, you got anything you want to share for our wrap up?
No, I'm good.
Tell us what you think of Michael. He's a super nice guy, right?
Yeah, I've heard about him. And I liked his appearance on your show today, but I actually haven't caught any of his normal podcast content.
Pretty good stuff, dude.
But
definitely give him a follow if you're watching.
Okay.
Yeah, go follow.
Yeah, I follow the Bitcoin Way on a few
and
things.
Yeah, awesome guys. All right, well that's awesome then. Thank you.
Cool. Well, thanks for joining, and we will do it again next week. And TikTok next block, everybody. Don't psych yourselves out.
Yeah. Good to
Diamond
see you,
hands.
Connie. Have a great day, man.
Cool. Bye, everybody.
Yeah.